Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy New Year. It is Tuesday. It is 3 p.m. ET, and we are so pleased that you have found us here on Crime Time on A Mighty Blaze. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. We had a wonderful vacation, and we hope you did too. And now we are back in the swing with a series of absolutely marvelous authors. I'm your host, Hank Phillippi Ryan, the USA Today bestselling author of 15 going on 16 novels of suspense. My current book is One Wrong Word, which is casually displayed on the door behind me because you put books on the door behind you. I don't know. And my new book coming up in September is called All This Could Be Yours, about a debut author who makes a Faustian bargain that is about to come due. Now, talk about debut authors. I know today's author, hi, Shannon Hansen. I know today's author did not make a Faustian bargain, but we have with us today Daniel Kenitz, whose brand new The Perfect Home is out today from Scribner. And you all, it is terrific. It is fast-paced. It is smart. It is a little bit of a risk taker. You will not be able to figure it out, and you will not be able to put it down. Congratulations, Daniel, coming to us from chilly. How cold is it in Wisconsin?
Oh, even indoors, I should have turned the heat up. It's pretty cold. I think it's single digits right now.
Single digits?
Yeah, I think so.
But you live in Wisconsin, so I guess that is how it's going to be. I mean, I grew up in Indiana, and days that you just couldn't go outside.
Right. And then every time summer rolls around, you forget all about winter and you think it's finally over. It's going to be, maybe it'll be a mild winter, and then winter comes and no. It's not.
Exactly. Well, we rely on it. Absolutely. So, but this is such a big day for you, the launch day for The Perfect Home. When you woke up this morning, how did you feel?
Ooh, I would say I was actually, last night I was tracking it. I was thinking, I was paying such close attention to it at 11 or 12 Eastern, 11 here. I was thinking, it's officially published. They can't take it back now. And so, yeah, it feels like a big milestone for sure, especially being a debut.
It is a big milestone, and that's so funny. So many authors feel that way when they finally see their book come out, and they think, well, this has happened. They can't say never mind about it. And you were saying earlier that you had a big party for family and friends for the unboxing of the book. Tell me what that was like. When you saw the book for the first time, and what your family and friends said to you?
It was pretty overwhelming. I think the big takeaway for me was seeing the book, of course, but also seeing how many people had been rooting for you after all that time. Because like I said earlier, we had a really big family event, maybe 50 people there. And so you see how it affects other people too. And when you're a writer and you're just sitting there alone on a computer, you can kind of forget that. So I think that was the big takeaway for me, for sure.
It's so nice and so reassuring and I see so many people here today. Sue Street is saying congratulations on Pub Day from another Wisconsinite. Robin Stull says happy Pub Day, and Shannon Hansen and Renee Herskowitz is here. Emily is asking, what are you going to do to celebrate?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm not a great celebrator, I don't think. So I'll probably just give myself a little pat on the back and start thinking about the next thing.
That's good. And I was imagining, though, your family party and the people who had probably said in the past, oh, Daniel, he's writing a book. I'm sure that'll work. And then there it is. I mean, your whole image is different.
That's true. Hopefully they said it behind my back. Nobody said anything mean like that, but yeah.
They must be so proud of you. Congratulations. This book is getting so much buzz, you all. The Perfect Home, out today from Scribner's by Daniel Kenitz. Run and get it. Not right now, because I'm going to tell you all about the book, and Daniel's going to tell us all about the inspiration and the marvelous characters. But do let me say, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are new to A Mighty Blaze, if you are new to Crime Time, we are so thrilled you are here today. Mighty Blaze was started 5 years ago, if you can believe it, at the beginning of the pandemic by the amazing powerhouse team of Caroline Levitt and Jenna Blum to keep us all reading and writing and chatting and keep our book community together. And now we are still going strong with several dozen volunteers, keeping the lights on the Mighty Blaze every day, 24/7, bringing you book news and book insider stuff stuff, and maybe introducing you to your new favorite author and your new favorite book. Today, it is going to be The Perfect Home by Daniel Kenitz. And one more thing before I let Daniel talk. Daniel is giving away a copy of The Perfect Home. Not this one. I'm keeping. But you can give away that one, Daniel.
Yeah, sure. That works.
Leave a question or a comment in the chat, and you will be entered to win. We will spin the wheel of fun in the back room today and see who wins. Renee says, this is your debut. You need to have some special celebration tonight, even if it's at home. So
I do have an event tonight locally, and my some family will be there. So that will be really cool.
That'll be really cool.
Yeah.
And have you signed books already?
I have. That's another thing. When I'm always like, why does my cousin, for example, want my signature? You know me, but yeah, it's really cool. That's another way you see how it affects other people. They really want, their signed copy, which is really cool.
And signing your name to your book, I mean, has that been a dream for you for a long time?
Yes, my normal penmanship is very poor, but my signature is really well practiced by now.
Mary Higgins Clark taught me, a lot of authors sign really, really fast because they're signing so many books. Mm-hmm. And Mary Higgins Clark taught me that if you are signing a book for a reader, it is your responsibility and the only respectful thing to do to make it be legible. Isn't that an amazing lesson?
That is. I need to take that to heart. Mine's sort of scribbly right now. Yeah.
Well, as long as you can see that it's Daniel Kenitz, and
yeah.
As long as it's the cover, you are all good. Susie Baldwin is here saying, thank you for the chance to win your book. Shannon Hansen says, I definitely want to read it. Randy William Gravitz from Barnes & Noble says, I moved to YouTube to here. I am excited to find new to me debut authors. You all know when I look over here, I'm looking at the comments. I'm not looking away from you. Anyway, let me tell you a bit about Daniel, and then we'll finally let him talk. Daniel Kenitz is the author of several short stories, including the 3 that were nominated for the Pushcart Prize, and that is a big deal. A freelance writer, he lives in southeastern Wisconsin within jogging distance of dairy cows. That's in his bio. I don't even know why you'd want to jog over to the dairy cows, but that's...
I know, especially not now. Yeah.
Totally not when it's 7 below or whatever.
Yeah.
And as I said, The Perfect Home is his debut novel, and congratulations. So tell us about the book, Daniel. Tell us the basic story of The Perfect Home.
Sure. Yeah, it's got 2 points of view, a husband and a wife. It's a domestic thriller, and it sort of juggles between the 2 of them. And they host a reality TV show called The Perfect Home. So it's a title within a title. And basically they're well known to the public. They're celebrities, but they have this image to uphold, at least in one of their minds. And they have this struggle. I don't know how much I should give away, but they have the fertility struggles, and that leads them down a path which I hope is pretty unpredictable, where it sort of pits one against the other with the public's opinion sort of hanging in the balance. And it's about fame a lot, and it's about reality TV fame specifically, but about fame in general. And and I think the best way to describe it is a tagline I've heard, Fixer Upper meets Gone Girl. And I think that's a good way of saying that's what it's about.
It's the perfect way. It's the perfect way to describe it, because Gone Girl, I mean, who wouldn't want to write a book like Gone Girl? But you have really done that. And we know that the idea of Gone Girl is the husband and the wife, and who to believe and who's telling the truth and from whose point of view we're viewing the world. Can you tell us a little bit about each of your main characters?
Sure. Yeah. I would start with Wyatt, because he's the propulsive force behind the show within the book. And he's been around the show for a long time. He's really ambitious. He's really about trying to get as famous as he can. He sort of feels a little bit inadequate if he's not. And he's sort of charming. He knows how to work the public. And he's sort of found his niche with the show. And then on the other side, you have Dawn, who's really the book's main character, as opposed to the main character in the show. And she's the wife. She's sort of been swept up in this reality show, maybe a little bit hesitating about that. And she's less about fame. She's more about her private life and her family. And so they're sort of naturally foils in that way. And that's another reason it sort of juggles and contrasts between the two throughout the book.
One of the many cool parts about this book, and if you just joined us, we're talking about The Perfect Home, out today from Scribner by Daniel Kenitz. One of the cool things about the book is it's so much about performance and about exteriors, how something looks on television compared to how it is in real life, and how our real lives look to the public compared to how they really are. How did you get what was the first glimmer of the idea of having a murder mystery thriller be based in a home improvement type show?
I work as a freelance writer, and a long time ago on a job board, I remember seeing somebody posted an opportunity for scripting a reality TV series. And I remember thinking, they script that? Oh, really? And isn't that all just filmed based on real life? This was a long time ago, of course. And I just sort of kept that seed of, a fake reality show somewhere stored in the memory banks. And then when I had this idea about what takes place in The Perfect Home, I thought, well, what better way to sort of highlight the different perceptions that the audience in the book has about these two characters than reality TV. So I think once I made that choice, it felt like the right one.
I mean, reality TV is just always an oxymoron. Absolutely. There's nothing real about it. And we all watch it knowing that there's nothing real about it. And we don't care, because part of the fun is the fantasy of that it really might be that way. I mean, you do such a terrific job. I mean, this is small, but you do such a terrific job. And Julie says, "Woo, made it. Happy Pub Day."
Thank you.
And I see Vicki Gregory is here too. And Timothy Johnson says, "I love pub days." Sherry's going to ask about the title. We'll do that in a minute. Good question, Sherry. You know so much about the inner workings of how reality TV works, I think. I mean, you fooled me if you don't, about how it's produced and how it's shot and how it's put together. Did you do a lot of research about that?
No, actually, I think I successfully pretended. I mean, I'm sure I've watched the occasional behind the scenes stuff with movies and reality TV, and hopefully it came through as somebody who knew a little bit about that. But yeah, that was definitely one thing I wanted to get into it, which is it's basically a TV show. They think of themselves as characters too within the TV show. And I think that's what comes through maybe, is that, like you said, we know it's not real, but we really don't care as long as we're entertained.
But yet the dangerousness of that, and as you so gorgeously, and I won't give anything away, as you so gorgeously portray in this book, is that even though we don't really believe it, those are the personas that Wyatt and Dawn have to the public. And when people see them in real life, they expect them to be the way they are on TV. And that is a problem for each of them. Can you talk a little bit about that, how you decided to portray them as real people versus how they are on television, and, as you say, the roles they play?
Yeah, for sure. That was definitely something I really intended to come through, because I wanted it to be a challenge for Dawn, who's sort of been pigeonholed into a certain, like, Wyatt's foil basically on the show. And so it's unfortunate for her because she's such a good person, I believe, at heart. But the country has, however many millions of people have watched the show, they get this sense of her based on something that's edited and put together and, maybe shot in different angles sometimes. So for her, I think that was really something to have to overcome, especially given her nature, which is to resist that if she can. But yeah, I think I wanted that to be the unfairness of that whole idea and perceptions versus reality. I really wanted to come through.
Yes, and it really did. Brenda's saying Brenda has just moved to Florida, and she says that she's trying to make her house into the perfect home. You don't want this one, though. You're going to do your own. You're going to have a more perfect home than this one, Brenda. Because on TV, Dawn is portrayed by editing and by sort of direction into being the critical one, the snarky one, the snipey one. And Wyatt is the lovely one, the charming one, the sort of bumbling but handsome husband. And that's the role they're sort of forced to play in real life, the charming, bumbling, handsome husband, when that isn't really how they are. I want to say you've structured this book in such a gorgeous way. It's complex, but it's very easy to follow with the points of view labeled. The other thing about it is that I'm going to be careful about this. When I started reading the book, I thought it was going to be one thing. And then you carefully twist it into being something jaw-droppingly else. How did you decide on that structure? And did it feel, I mean, it's in a Gone Girlish kind of way, which isn't giving anything away. Did it feel risky to you to take a structural leap in the book, or did you just write it?
I think it didn't feel, that part of it didn't feel too risky because it sort of naturally came out of the idea that I would switch between Wyatt and Dawn pretty much 50-50 back and forth. And then the way the story ended up, I had to maybe get away from one character, so you wonder what they're thinking, and focus on this other one, and hopefully, keep some mystery going. So that was organic. And I definitely wanted the reader to have the experience of maybe if they had been a fan of the show and they have this perception in the first place, and then they really found out how it was, to have that same sort of gut shock, I suppose, where you go, that's a totally different person than I expected.
And which shouldn't be surprising, right? Because those people on TV are playing characters on TV. I mean, it's interesting because, as I was saying earlier, it's all about exteriors, whether it's the exterior of a house or the exterior of a home or the exterior of a person. You even have one character say, the truth doesn't matter. It's just what people believe.
Right. And I think that ties into what you said earlier about as long as we're entertained and we're willing to suspend our disbelief. And I think there's an effect with fame where we know that actors and actresses aren't the people they portray, but we refer to them by their character's name all the same. And I wanted to highlight that effect where we're aware that it's not real. We could perfectly explain how reality TV works, and yet we're still going to totally fall for whatever we're given, basically.
Yes, we want to believe it, and it's also, yes. Robin Stahl says it's 34 degrees on my back deck now here in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. No snow, just gray and dreary. Yeah, it is cold everywhere. That is, I went out to get the mail today, and I just gave up. Not. It's also, the other thing about a reality TV star like Wyatt and Dawn are. And they're such captivating characters, each of them, because they each want something so much, but it may be different things. It's also, the book is also a study of role models and what someone aspires to be, and what we want in our lives and even in our homes. Can you talk a little bit about that as a theme too, what people want and how far they'll go to get it?
Yeah, for sure. I think I would say Wyatt too, early in the book, you get the sense of he's just got this enormous measuring stick for himself. And throughout the book, you find out more about his background and little glimpses, and you see how it all came to be. But yeah, I think that's a really good observation. I don't know if I had thought to put that in as a theme, but they both do have both have big ambitions, but just in different ways. And for example, for Dawn, it's more about her own life and not necessarily building this enormous amount of fame. And I think hopefully that's why it works, is that they're both struggling with that at the same time, but it's still giving you this contrasting points of view where you're interested to see how one person maybe navigates something that's completely different from what the other person's going for.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because they're a couple and they're supposed to be a team and they're supposed to be on the same path. But the way that this develops is only one of them can win. And that is so fractured and so interesting. And the whole thing is just so full of suspense and conflict. I mean, one of the conflicts, for instance, is that each of them wants to have children, but for very different reasons. And that is so powerful.
Right. Yeah. For Dawn, she's got this sense of legacy of, thinking about her own parents and her own family history and wanting to build something with that. And for Wyatt, you start to get the sense that he's really thinking about how it looks on camera when he's got, the picket fence and the pets and the family and everything. So their goals are aligned to start with, but I think quickly the reader finds out, like you said, for very different reasons.
And you've painted them so gorgeously as the person who's more interested about the exterior, Wyatt, and people who are the person who's more interested in the interior, and that's Dawn. And those two, should mesh, but instead they clash. It's really well done,
Thank
and
you. Thank
also
you.
so sinister and so unexpected. Do you watch reality shows differently now that you've written this book?
No, I'd still say I definitely enjoy them like I used to. Like you said, even knowing maybe that it's a lot of it might be props or edited or designed in a certain way, it's still fun. And I hopefully that came through in the book, where the book itself is fun to read too. But yeah, I think ever since I had that initial seed of the fake reality show in my head, I always kind of looked at them that way.
It's interesting though too, because Dawn is, you give us Dawn as a very multi-dimensional, real human being, loving person who then, and I won't give anything away, becomes someone who is loathed and who is on the run. And this is exactly the opposite of what anybody ever thought might happen. Can you talk a little bit about that step of having the world sort of turned upside down from what everyone thinks, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. The initial idea for the book came when I was sort of looking for brainstorming, looking through headlines and thinking, what can I write a book about? And the first idea I had that became the perfect home, besides that old reality TV setting, was this idea of a kidnapping. And the public thinks we know exactly what's going on with a kidnapping. This person is the bad guy. This person is the good guy. And I wanted to do a little bit of a twist on that, where you realize that there's more to the story, maybe. And for her, it's definitely, I think a character moment I always wanted her to have was to finally confront this really unjust way the public views her, because I think she's genuinely a good person, but she just doesn't have necessarily the same skills at bringing those across that Wyatt does on the show. So she finally sort of has to deal with the consequences of that when it's going out to millions of people, and everybody thinks they know her and how she'll react and how she's thinking. So I wanted to really highlight the fact that it's kind of unjust in a way, that crowds can make their decisions about a person like that.
Yes, crowds can make their decision about a person like that, and then the court of public opinion, makes a verdict that you're guilty and you're not, and that is so well done in this book. The underpinnings of the book are gorgeous as well. The cast of supporting characters are all wonderful. It's such a good story about trust and friendship and reliability, and who you can count on and who you can't. Can you talk a little bit about why that's important in the book as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of the supporting characters help to highlight some of those themes. Dawn has friends, and the question is, are they going to take her side, or are they going to take the public side? Are they going to believe this side? Are they going to believe what they've seen on TV? And, without getting too much into what happens, it's that I wanted to highlight what the public goes through in these characters too, when they're trying to decide like what's real here, and even they don't know, because they're experiencing both sides of the, as you said, the exterior and the interior, knowing Dawn and Wyatt. So yeah, I'm sorry. What was the original question?
The thing about friendship is that Dawn has to decide who is the authentic friend, who is the person
Yes.
who authentically likes her, and who is the one that's just playing, who are the ones potentially who are just playing the role of a friend. And it's really thought provoking, how much the sort of like you want acting to be the way you think you want somebody to realize who you are, understand who you are, is so powerful in this book. The lies and the manipulation and the people going after what they want and using Dawn and Wyatt along the way.
Yeah. And I think there's maybe a little bit of a sense that they have something good going with this TV show, The Perfect Home. It's working, it's getting good ratings. So nobody really stops to think, what are the consequences of what we're doing going to be? Because, ideally it's just a good show. Everybody likes it. And nobody has any problems with Dawn or Wyatt. But the truth is, if something extreme would happen like it does in the book, what would happen if the public suddenly, or people who knew them suddenly had to make those decisions?
And my final question, then we'll go to some questions from the audience. I love what you've done with Dawn, though, who has a little bit of a little bit of an imposter syndrome complex about being a star on TV and the role she has to play. But when it comes to protecting her family, she becomes empowered and clever and smart and determined. Was that fun to write, the sort of growth of Dawn?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think it hopefully develops just like you said, where she's got that imposter syndrome. She's not sure she's not as good with people as Wyatt is. And she's like, how do I convince people when they've already made this decision about me in their heads? And she finally, I won't give anything away, but towards the end, I think she finds, or at least seeks, some sort of inner strength that she wouldn't have been able to uncover if she had never been in the situation, not only the situation in the book, but this extreme situation of being as famous as that couple is. So I think, writing that was pretty satisfying because I didn't have any problems writing Dawn. She's such a strong person. I think it was a lot of fun to write.
I mean, that's so interesting because I never thought about asking you about whether you had trouble writing Dawn because a man writing a woman. It's just it comes through so naturally and so authentically.
Oh, thank you.
Because you just wrote it as, I mean, when you were being Dawn, I mean, this is the thing. I'm Mark in the background saying you had one more question. Now I've got another question. When you're writing Dawn's point of view and when you're writing Wyatt's point of view, did you sort of, I don't know, method act the character? Did you become Dawn and become Wyatt when you were writing them?
Yeah, there was definitely trying to find where I might sympathize with both of them and what we had in common and maybe write from that, because obviously whether it's a hero or a villain, you don't want them to seem so one-dimensional that there's nothing to relate with them. And I think the book sort of became the shape it is because I had initially planned on it being 50-50. And I sort of leaned into Dawn's experience because I found that pretty engaging, what she was going through, even though they're both going through a crisis, as they define it. So I think it just sort of naturally came out of the situation and who Dawn is.
I mean, the crisis as they define it. And I think that's just such a perfect way of talking about this book. It is fast-paced, it is suspenseful, it is twisty, it is surprising. It's funny too from time to time. You're a really wonderful author of dialogue. The dialogue was great.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I really enjoyed it, and I was surprised throughout what goes on behind the scenes of a reality show and on the show's home and in the couple's home, and what's behind the scenes of this marriage, The Perfect Home by Daniel Kenitz. Let's take a couple of questions from the audience. Julie, hey Julie, says, I'm always curious who is the easiest, there's no easy, character to flesh out, and conversely, who gave you the hardest time putting them on the page and into the world? Great questions.
Ooh. That's a good question. I would say Dawn was the easiest. I think I just personally relate to her more than anybody else in the book. So that definitely gave me a shortcut where I could sort of say, how might I feel? How might I react? And then difficulty, there was definitely a lot of work fleshing out some of the side characters, especially Dawn's friends, and trying to make those relationships make sense logically, like how they became friends and how it all unfolds. So I would say there's a lot of work that went into the her friends.
And her friends, I mean, there are several, and they're very well differentiated. I mean, the book is as I said, it's complex, but it's very easy to read, very seamless, and a lot of fun. Who else has a question? Renee, would you would you ever consider being on a reality show? And if so, yeah, that's a great question. And if so, which one?
My mom tells me I should go on Survivor because she loves Survivor, and I'm like, I will never go on Survivor. Yeah, I don't think I ever would. No, I'm more of a Dawn in that way, where if I was thrust into that situation, I'd be like, "Ugh, I don't know."
I want to know from the audience in the comments if they would ever go on Survivor. I love Survivor. I will tell you that, since it's just us. But I would, in a million years, I wouldn't go on Survivor. I mean, just
Right. It's so much more fun to watch from home and not have mosquitoes biting you. And yeah,
But I will tell you, and this is maybe a conversation for another time. I would love to see how it's done. I would love to be there and watch the production of how that series is put together, because it is, especially after reading The Perfect Home, you can see how manipulated it is. And we know, apropos of your book, we know who the bad guy is supposed to be. We know who the good guy is supposed to be. We know who the troublemaker is supposed to be. We know who's in the spotlight that week. And it's all crafted, right?
yeah, that's a good point. And maybe after a day of an 8-hour shoot or something, it might be like, well, I'm glad I didn't film that reality show. I can go home now.
Exactly. Exactly. Who else has a question? Renee, would you be on as a reality show? I don't know. Sherry says, I'd love to hear more about the title. Good question. How was it picked?
It was the easiest title I ever had. And I sometimes, with trying to write books or writing short stories and things like that, it sometimes takes a while to really nail both the theme and give you a sense of what's in it. And once I had the name of the show, I was like, that's the name of the book.
Yeah. I mean, it just, sometimes the titles are just perfect. And this is multi-layered and perfect in every way. The Perfect Home. One more question, you all, then we will spin the wheel of fun behind the scenes. How many stories did you write before you found publishing success with this one, says Brenda Gaskell?
A lot of short stories, a lot of unpublished books. I've been writing pretty much my whole life. So even in 7th grade on loose leaf paper, I had, a book idea. So I think I would say several. It depends on what you count, and maybe two to four where I was really seriously trying to get published for the first time.
Were they thrillers?
Yeah, there's my last one was another domestic thriller. One was sort of a sci-fi suspense, and I was sort of finding my voice and which genre I fit into, and this seemed like a good fit.
This is a good fit. You have hit it in the ballpark with The Perfect Home by Daniel Kenitz. Let's give away a copy of this book. So many of you have left comments in the chat and behind the scenes right now. Lori Hernandez says, no Survivor. I think they eat some of the losers. They do. Although don't even give them that idea. That would be something that they would do on the show. And Robin says, does Jeff Probst know you want to come do behind the scenes interview on Survivor? I have no doubt that Jeff Probst is watching us right now, Daniel. I definitely do. And so we can both go and do interviews.
For sure.
Survivor. So if you have picked the winner in the backstage right now, let me tell you that the winner is, according to Sue Street, says Mark in the back room. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Sue Street. You are the winner of our giveaway. So you know how it works. Email me at hank@hankpryan.com with your address, and I will send it to Daniel's publicist, and Daniel's publicist will send it to Daniel, and Daniel will send the publicist the book, and then the publicist will send you the book, because that's how it works. But congratulations, Sue. The rest of you, you know what to do. Run, click, click, click. Get your copy of The Perfect Home. You will not want to miss it. And this is Pub Day for Daniel Kenitz, and we are so thrilled that you are here today. Renee says, thank you, Hank and Daniel.
Thank you.
Wonderful discussion. I agree, Daniel. Thank you. You were amazing.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to put that on my next book, I think, a blurb.
Feel free to do that. I want to read. Are you working on one?
I am. I don't know how much I can say right now, but there's definitely a follow-up in the works.
Fantastic. Well, I cannot wait to read it. You go into my mailbox right now. I'm looking for the man. Okay, I'll wait a little bit.
Yeah, for the weather to warm up. Yeah.
True. And happy Pub Day. Before I let you go, you all, and thank you all for coming. Sue Street says thank you, and Julie Bleeth says thank you, and Lori and Susie. Wonderful. All of you. Betty Fellows is here. That's so nice that you were here. Okay, so do not move. Well, you have 25 minutes to move. You have 25 minutes to get a cup of tea or a glass of lemonade or hot chocolate or whatever you're having today. Then come right back here at 4 o'clock, because we will be interviewing Holly Stars, whose brand new Murder in the Dressing Room. I mean, I want you to look at this. I want you to look up Holly Stars and come and meet her at 4 o'clock. This is going to be quite amazing. Murder in the Dressing Room. It is called a Misty Dawn mystery. It is the first in a series, and talk about performance. This is quite amazing. Holly Stars with Murder in the Dressing Room coming up at 4 p.m. Until then, remember to look for The Perfect Home by Daniel Kenitz, which is out today. Thank you, Daniel, for coming. Congratulations on your pub day.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Stay safe, you all, and keep warm. And remember, it is always safe inside a book. And we will see you next time.